intention for optioning it was to make a film that could truly impact and make a difference in the lives of women. And then when everything went bonkers,
we gather stones, never knowing what they'll mean.
Atlas.
Lily Bloom. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very surreal. I optioned it originally because I was so moved by it after I read it. And because I had such a cathartic experience reading the book, and I knew what this book meant to so many of the original Die Hard fans who had discovered Colleen on Goodreads and ranked it, so high, and also had, had life-changing experiences after reading it. So the intention for optioning it was to make a film that could truly impact and make a difference in the lives of women. And then when everything went bonkers and this thing sold another 9 million copies, you know what? I remember my company emailing me, my head of production emailing me that the book was #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And I just was very confused, because I didn't know that happened. That the book that came out 7 years before could and I didn't understand how it happened, because at the time I wasn't on TikTok. I didn't even know what TikTok was. So I just remember just being like, wait, what is happening? And then also feeling, in some ways, this strange confirmation. I believe in God. I believe that things happen the way they're supposed to. I believe in that there's guidance, and it felt very much like, oh, okay, this is an important story that I need to tell and be a part of and have our company tell. And my hope was that it was just in the right hands, because from the very beginning I just cared so deeply about getting it right, for Colleen, for the fans, and for also the unfortunately millions of women who have experienced what Lily Bloom experiences in the book. So it was all of those feelings combined.
If one day you had a daughter, what would you say to her? She came to you and said the person she loved was hurting her. What would you say to her?
And I can go anywhere.
I know your company is very intentional about the project.
We try to be.
And so I don't think you would have chosen this if it didn't have an important message, obviously. But what about the people who just hear the log line and say, oh, that's glorifying domestic violence?
Yeah, I think that they are absolutely entitled to that opinion, and it makes perfect sense as to why they would feel that way. I mean, look, we live in a culture where, unfortunately, too many things are glorified. And, we are fighting for attention. We're in an attention economy, and we're in a clickbait world, and everybody is trying to, figure out how to gather attention. Look at the news cycle. It's everywhere around us. And so it makes perfect sense that people would feel that way. Also, if anybody has had that real life experience, I can imagine how hard it would be to imagine their experience being in a romance novel. It's like there'd be some sort of cognitive dissonance there. And so I understand any survivor or person who has that thought by looking at as you say, like the one-liner. And then to them, I would just offer that, that we were very intentional in the making of this movie, from Wayfair bringing on our partners at knowmore.org, to the way the story was crafted. From the very beginning, the intention was to not glorify in any way. And so I hope that those same people who feel that way watch the movie and can feel at ease, and in some ways feel seen. I've learned so much. I mean, a lot of people don't know that, my first film, 5 Feet Apart, was actually a script to book adaptation. So it was in the writing of the script that I had the idea to turn it into a book. So this was my first, book to film adaptation, let alone one, as you said, that was just, every detail was something to talk about or something the fans would have a big opinion about. But that was also exciting to me. I took that on as a challenge because I was making this for them. So I wanted to know. You know, early on in the process, as soon as we had our first draft of a finished script, I asked Colleen if it was okay, you know, if she would come out to LA, and we brought out like 13 or 12 super fans, and we did a reading of the script together. And I wanted to know firsthand what they liked, what they didn't like, what worked, what they missed from the book, what were the details that, as they were reading the book, they felt like we didn't hit, and what should be put in the book that wasn't in the script. And I got so much information out of that, and it really helped me understand the mind of the reader, and so that I could protect the things that these early fans told me were so important over the next 3 years. And that's what we tried to do, was we really tried to protect that. And the other thing I learned, to be very candid, was that no matter what I did, there was going to be people that maybe thought I didn't do a good enough job, because I'll never be able to fully create the image that the reader had in their mind. And yet, that's also the joy of movie making and letting go and doing my best to create what I saw, and hope that in some way the book reader goes on that same journey and feels like it was close enough to what they saw when they read it.
I'm sure this is an annoying question to answer, but this book does have a sequel. Could you see that happening with the film?
It's not an annoying question at all. I think it's a sequel, right? I think anything's possible. I personally don't have a story in my head for how that's possible yet. But, you know, anything's possible.